Welcome everybody for another edition of Afternoon Delight. I'm your host, Allie Rittenhouse, and today we are going to talk about 4 reasons why launches fail and how to prevent yours from being one of them. And I should say that it's new launches. It's a staggering statistic that 80% of new launches fail the first time that they are launched. And there's a lot of reasons why this happens, but I'm not a firm believer in all of these stats. I don't like to listen to them. I think that, yes, they get your attention, but they shouldn't stop you from anything, because if I listened to the stats, I probably wouldn't have started my own business being a teen mom, high school dropout, going through a divorce. I'm sure the statistics were probably quite high that I would fail at business. So throw all of those statistics out the door. Today, we are going to talk about 4 reasons why most launches fail, how we're going to prevent yours from doing the same. So if you are here watching live, say hello in the chat box next to this video. You do have to either log in using Facebook or Twitter. Once you are logged in, say hello, and if you have any launch questions, go ahead and put them in that comment section, and I will check them after we are done talking about the 4 different ways or reasons that launches fail. So, number 1, the first thing that, really comes to mind when I think of why do launches fail, it's that there is no launch strategy. And you might be thinking, well, that's kind of the whole reason of launching would be to have some kind of strategy behind it. But most people don't understand a launching strategy. I, over the last 8 years, have worked with many different 6- and 7-figure launches and all of the strategy behind it, what needed to happen in order to reach those income levels. And I can tell you right now that there was very much a strategic strategy in place that we created and really stuck to. So not only was there a strategy, but we created deadlines, goals, and everything else that goes into the strategy of being a successful launch. Most of the time, what happens is an entrepreneur sees another entrepreneur launching and tries to mimic their strategy by watching what they do, and then trying to replicate it themselves. And that's not necessarily a strategy that's going to fit for everybody's business, because copying what somebody else is doing isn't necessarily what your people want. So you need to be able to have it something that is unique to you and what your ideal customers are looking for. Copying somebody else's strategy is not being very strategic and doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to yield success for your business. One thing that I've learned over and over again from all of the launches that I've done is that every launch is different, and every step in every launch looks completely different for each entrepreneur. No 2 launches are the same. There are some core pieces that do go throughout, but they never look the same. So you need to know that it has to be unique to you. What marketing channels are you going to use? You can't just say that you're going to put up a couple blog posts on your website and expect sales to come running in. That's not how it works. It's not going to yield results for you. So you also want to be sure that everything that you have created in your strategy, you have set up ahead of time, because it's going to be chaotic and crazy no matter how well you've planned out that launch. That's just what happens. Every launch, there's a few quirks and things that come up. So having it all created and scheduled ahead of time is going to save you some heartache and some late nights during your launch, and it makes sure that you don't skip over anything in that launch strategy. So stick to your deadlines, set them, make sure that they're on a calendar. And also, when you're setting those deadlines, you need to make sure that you have goals. I'm a firm believer, again, that stats are just sometimes they're irrelevant, right? Because it all depends on the person and how hard they work towards the goals that they set. So another thing is that you have to define what success looks like for you. When it says that 80% of new launches fail, well, that doesn't really mean much to me because success looks differently to everybody. Your first launch might be that you just want to have 5 to 7 people sign up for maybe a group coaching program or a one-on-one program that you're now offering. And so that is your big goal, right? Well, we have to look at what is success going to look like. If you have 2 people that sign up for your very first launch, that doesn't mean that it's a fail. So you just have to look at what is your bottom level of success and what is your top level at success, and set those goals accordingly, and know that even if you don't reach the goals that you set for yourself the first time, it doesn't mean that it's a failure, and it doesn't mean that you should give up. So you need to keep pushing forward and review what did work and keep replicating that. So then the second time, or the second tip that we are talking about today that kind of goes off of the no strategy is not knowing if your product is going to yield results. Something that I cannot stress enough is that no matter what type of service, program, offering that you have, before you put it out there as a paid program at a full paid price, you have to beta test. You have to put it out there to see that it's either going to work or it's not going to work. I have had some really great launches myself, but I've also not followed what I know to be true and launched things and put things out there without testing them first, and it didn't always work out. So it didn't mean that it was a failure. It meant that I needed to go back to the drawing board. When you beta test something, you're able to work out those kinks and those bugs to know that when you go to put it out as a full launch, it's going to work. So beta testing is super important in knowing whether your model, whether your formula, whether knowing it's going to work when you go to try to sell it to the masses. So we always start with a beta program. And usually what I do with my clients is I have them start out with the beta as one-on-one work. And this allows for them to charge because they're receiving one-on-one support with that client, and also see if their formula or program is going to work when they go to put it into launch mode. Working with people one-on-one allows for you to get the exact feedback that you need to know whether your model is going to work. It allows for you to beta test pricing, beta test the length of the program. You might find out that by one-on-one work, you are able to charge a little bit more and you're able to put them through at a faster pace, getting them better results and more achievement in what they wanted to see because they got to work with you one-on-one. So always beta test to find out if your idea is going to work before you just guess and launch it without knowing if it's going to get any results for that person. And then the third reason why most launches fail is because there is not a big enough audience to support the numbers that you are looking for in your launch. Most of the time, people hear these great success stories of how somebody started their business and within the first 90 days, they were making, crazy amounts of money. And then within the first year, they had their first seven-figure launch. Now, that does not happen very often without somebody either spending a lot of money in advertising or having a very large support network or audience set up ahead of that launch. Because you can't have a seven-figure launch if you only have 100 people on your email marketing list, right? So you need to know that what the goals or the results that you want to see from your launch match your audience. Seems simple enough, right? But most people don't look at it this way. So another thing to keep in mind is that normally somewhere, again, this is a statistic, and I'm going to tell you why. Again, I don't believe always in statistics, but 1 to 3% of people is what you can usually figure on conversion rate of somebody buying something. Now, my first launch, I had 200 people on my email marketing list. I had a Twitter following of maybe, 1,000, and same with Facebook. And when I launched my first program, I had 20 people sign up for this program. So when you look at my email list, I had around 10% conversion rate. That is huge, especially for a first-time product. What I knew was people needed this product. I had, kind of done some market research, beta test, everything that you're supposed to do ahead of time. And I knew that I didn't need a large number for that very first launch because I was testing, putting it into this program model. And so I had a huge, great result of 10%. While I didn't have hundreds of people sign up for my first program, it still to me was a great success. And when you look at the percentage rate, that's really big. So you need to be able to know that you have to have an audience ahead of time in order to have a successful launch. This is why when you market yourself and you have all of your strategy in place of leveraging other people's audiences, you can have a greater result and have 1,500 new people possibly get onto your email list when you are just a couple days out from launch, because of the strategy that you have in place and how you're leveraging other people's audiences to create more of an audience for yourself. So a big reason of why launches fail is because they don't have an audience. So you need to really have a good marketing plan in place to make sure that your launch is going to be successful. And the last reason that most launches fail, especially the first time, especially when you are launching the first time and maybe not seeing the results that you had hoped for, is that you're not fully invested in the launch. And when you send out an email and 10 people don't sign up right away, you get frustrated and you start to give up. And it takes you away from being fully committed to the strategy that you set in place and the deadlines that you set in place and the things that have to take place in order for your launch to be successful. So what I encourage people all the time is to do everything full out 100%, whether you have 100 people signing up for your program or whether you might only have had one person sign up. You have to be fully invested in putting everything into place and making it happen in order to be able to look back at your launch and see maybe what worked and what didn't work so that you can be more successful the next time. So I am so excited that you have an interest in launching, because that's probably why you are here watching today, is because in the back of your mind, you know that you want to launch something and you want to do it successfully and not be part of that staggering statistic of 80% of new launches that fail. So if that sounds like you, we are doing a special edition of Results where we are going to make it launch version, where we set you up with everything that you need in these next couple of months before you get to launch season. We're going to help you get the results that you want for your launch. If you're interested in this, there is a link below this video. Probably not if you're watching live, but it will be there in a minute. Or you can go to allierittenhouse.com/results and see the results that you want in your business. So if you're watching live and you have launching questions, ask away. I have been doing launches for 8 years. Lots and lots of launches. Too many to even count because I didn't know that I would need to count launches back when I first started doing them. Didn't know that it would come in handy to know how many launches I've done. But I can tell you that I've helped people make millions of dollars. So let's get started making your first $10,000 on an idea. Let's, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box below. So I promised that you would walk away with at least one $10,000 idea. What I want you to do is I want you to think about and maybe write it down. Start taking notes in all of the ways that you have ideas of creating a multiple income stream for your business, because we are going to look more at creating multiple income streams when it comes to launching. So I want you to think about, what are some different ways that you know that you can help your potential ideal customer out? And when we're talking about launching, we're not just talking about e-programs. We're talking about one-on-one work, group coaching programs, products, services, anything that you can bring in money from, you can do a launch behind it. Even a new website launch with new services should have a launch strategy tied into it. So if you have any questions about this, go ahead and put them in the questions box. And I will go ahead and answer them. And then I want you to write down any ideas that you have in one-on-one work, services, anything that you know that you can monetize. Well, I look and see if there's any questions. Okay, so with Jason, with your question, thank you so much for watching. So happy to have you here. One thing that when we talk about not fully maybe committing, and I don't know because I don't know a lot of details about your launch, but one thing that we suggest with all of our clients is that when it gets down to the end, especially during your first launch, is that you personally reach out to people and offer them either via maybe texting help, like you'll help them in a text message, or you hop on the phone and personally connect with them to answer any questions that they might have about signing up for your program. This allows for them to connect with you and not feel so reserved about signing up for your product. So did you maybe do like where they could personally connect with you so that they could get any questions answered, or offered them maybe an email support, something that further brought them into connecting with you? Again, there's a whole flood of reasons and, scenarios and things. But, look at, do you feel that you did everything that you could to educate your list on what it was that you were offering? Do you feel that you had a great launch strategy? I see that you had a warm list and that you build it up for more than a month. So was there anything that maybe you had left out that could have helped them, getting them on the phone, nurtured them a little bit more into finding out why they didn't sign up? Something that a lot of people forget to do after the launch is over with is ask why people didn't sign up. We can do a lot of guessing in our head, right? We can say, oh, maybe it was because of this, or maybe it was because of that. But unless you ask them and get a clear answer from them, you have no idea, right? So if you didn't already, if it hasn't been too long since your last launch, I highly recommend asking them. Maybe offer them a one-on-one coaching session or a gift card to one lucky person. Do some type of incentive that gets them to answer your survey into maybe why they didn't sign up for your product. All right, now that you have wrote down some of your ideas into what you could turn into a $10,000 product, I want you to look at how can you make one of those ideas a really high-end offering? How can you give somebody a full amount of support in one offering? So for us, we looked at what are some issues that people have when they hire a business coach? What were some issues that I had when I first hired a business coach? And one of those things that I found was that anytime you hire a business coach to join a mastermind, they also want you to hire additional people to help you get better copywriting or better design. And when you've invested in a business coach, sometimes you don't have that extra money to invest in additional partners. So we were able to take the idea of what I knew to be true in my business coaching, what I knew I needed to take people through. And then I looked at what did they need to have as support in order to make those things happen while working with me. And what we did was we created an implementation team that not only can I help create the ideas for my clients, but then we also help them put it into implementation to see the results to make it happen. And from that, I was able to charge more money to help them see better results and to get it done. And to know that they don't have to spend a lot of money in hiring additional support while also working with me. So it was a win-win. When you take it and you make it more of a high-end product, you are able to charge more. For us, results, it is $3,000 for each person that signs up. So to make it a 10K program, we only have to have 4 people. Really, we have to have 3 people, and then we're short like $1,000, right? But we have to have 4 people to put us over that mark to make it a 10K product, right? So look at how you can make it a higher end service so that you have to sell less to less number of people in order to make it hit that 5-figure level that is such a success level, right, for people. Whereas if you have a $500 offering, you've got to sell more to get you to that 10K level, right? Or if you want to sell it at $1,000, then you have to have 10 sales to get you to that 10K level. So look at how you can make it a high-end offering that you can sell to people one-on-one to get you to that 10K level. And this is just so that you can start to see results before you go into a full-on launch. Once you hit $10,000, you've sold a couple, you will have testimonials, you will have known whether this program is going to work out in order for you to be able to sell it more to the masses. So, once you get those ideas down, I encourage you to share them in our Facebook group after this call. Let me know how it worked out for you and what a great idea that you have that you can turn into a 10K program. So, this has been Allie Rittenhouse. I hope you enjoyed this afternoon delight. I will see you in our next episode where we are going to help you learn the tools that you need in order to run a successful launch. I'm your host, Allie Rittenhouse, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Thanks so much.